Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, since the DCEU has finally come to a close, I'm going to give you guys my top 10 DC movies. Not just DCEU, but DC in general. So that includes the Batman movies that are not in the DCEU, the Superman movies, and all that good stuff, right? So, let's get into it. So, at number 10, it's Shazam! Fury of the Gods. What I didn't expect about either of Shazam movies, right, is that it's my favorite. I realize that it's my favorite world of the DCEU, like my favorite corner. Obviously, I love the Batman corner of the DCEU with like Suicide Squad and that sort of stuff. But we don't have a lot of just like Batman stuff, right? But we have two Shazam movies, and they're amazing. And I love how they expand on the universe of the first movie, and they call back to the first movie in this movie, and how we get new villains in the Daughters of Atlas, which are just amazing. Like Rachel Zegler, Helen Mirren, and Lucy Liu are just incredible as the Daughters of Atlas, and it's amazing. It gave us some incredible moments, like some incredible action scenes with Shazam and the dragon, and some also memorable just like scenes that like would be cool as action set pieces, but are just cool on their own. Like that whole moment where Billy's dying, and then you just hear There Is One, and then you hear the Wonder Woman theme, and you see the boot, then you pan up Wonder Woman. Incredible stuff, and I love that, right? So there's a lot of stuff in Shazam! Fury of the Gods that I think people just overlook, because people go like, oh, we're over superhero fatigue, right? So it's just one of those things where it's just like, people just love to hate on things now. So, but that comes in for me at number 10. Number 9 for me is Batman vs Superman, both the theatrical and the Ultimate Edition, right? I really like this movie. I don't know if it's because of all the Batman stuff we get, but I like Wonder Woman in this. I like how Henry Cavill got to play Superman more in this movie, and how he improved since Man of Steel, and how the ramifications from Man of Steel carry over into Batman vs Superman, right? So, like the whole third act of Man of Steel carries directly over into Batman v Superman, where Bruce Wayne is seeing the destruction and seeing Superman fighting Zod, and it's like, oh my god, these guys are destroying these buildings and killing all these people for no reason whatsoever. And then he holds that rage down inside, and then he has to go away out and kill Superman. And the stuff that we get with, like, Lex Luthor's not my ideal Lex Luthor by any means, but I do think that Batman vs Superman has a lot more in it to like about than to not like about, right? I think that there's a lot more things in here that are used that's good than bad, right? I think that, like, obviously, I mean, some people can complain about the bathtub scene, but I quite liked it. I thought that showed the chemistry of Cavill and Amy Adams very, very well, right? And I love the action in this movie. I am going to do a ranking a little later about the final battles of every DCEU movie, and this final battle is up there. It might not be the best because it is technically just a big CGI monster fight, but it's one of those things where it's a real good fight, and you get to see basically a Trinity Justice League of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman fighting, of Wonder Woman using her swords and her shield, and Superman flying up to Doomsday and stabbing him with the Kryptonian spear, and Batman dodging a lot of the dodging all the lasers and stuff from Doomsday, and obviously shooting down Doomsday. It's just so cool. Ben Affleck is one of the best Batman ever. So, now number 8 for me is Superman Returns. Now, I think that this is a pretty underrated DC movie in general, right? Because it's like, what if Superman found Krypton and it wasn't exploded? And so he went to investigate. And so it asks a question of like, he didn't meant to leave for that long, but what if he left for a long time and didn't realize that he did it? That's what I find interesting about this movie, is that you have the whole thing of like Lois Lane and Richard and the son, and how you have the whole thing of at the end where Brandon Ralph is touching the look, his head going, saying Marlon Brando, his father, or Kal-El's, oh my god, I think it's that's Clark's alien name, but Clark is saying his alien father's speech from the original Dawn of Superman to him, and then you get like after that you get the whole flying scene, remembering you about the Christopher Reeve movies, and the awesome Superman theme. Like, this movie, I think, lands really well as a Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and does a pretty good job at making it in the exact same world as the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman movies, right? And I think that's one of those things where it's like you watch it and you go like, that's actually not a bad idea for a Superman movie. It also didn't help that this movie is directed by the same guy who did the X-Men 1 and 2, and Days of Future Past and that sort of stuff, which is just amazing, and I love that, right? Number 7 for me is Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. Now, if you guys remember, when I watched the theatrical cut, I was like, I didn't mind this. So the fact that I'm saying I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars, that makes me kind of worried, because what am I going to think about the Snyder cut when it comes out? Am I going to think it's too long? Am I going to think it's boring? Or am I going to say that's a great movie? And I'm going to say, yes, it is a great movie, and it's a great comic book movie. And it shows what Zack Snyder did from Man of Steel to Batman vs Superman to Zack Snyder's Justice League in that little mini trilogy of his. I think that there's a lot of things in this movie that show what could have been the DCEU. And because if we got this version and we did the whole 2 parts and Warner Bros. Didn't kick Zack Snyder out, we probably would still be talking about, like, we would have been talking about stuff like Man of Steel 2 and our Ben Affleck Batman movie and stuff like that. So it's like, what could have been that was Zack Snyder's Justice League and made it such a thing, right? Of like, release the Snyder cut, and you release it and you're like, that is exactly what we want from DC. So number 6 for me is Batman 1989. I think that this is such a classic Batman movie and one of the best Batman movies. So, because like when you say Batman to me, I think of Michael Keaton. I think of that 89 Batman movie, and it's such a thing in it's such a thing in pop culture. Even if you don't like Batman 89, Batman Returns, and those 90s era Batman movies, sure, but you gotta respect them. This is exactly why we have the original Spider-Man movies, the X-Men movies, the MCU, right? So, whether if it's the Christopher Reeve Supermans, the Michael Keaton Batmans, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, the Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Famke Janssen, James Marsden X-Men movies, and stuff like that. This is the reason why we have the MCU. And I just love that, how this movie was like, okay, let's keep some of the campiness from the 66 series, but do the dark and gritty thing. And the only reason why it's cheesy is because it's 80s. It's not cheesy in a way where it's like it's trying to mix a cheesiness with a serious tone. It is, but it's mainly because it's the 80s. That's the only reason why it feels that way. But I love how dark this movie gets. Like the whole thing of like, as soon as Batman finds out that Joker's the one that kills his parents, boom, down goes the chemical factory, right? There's so much stuff in this movie that's like, boom. And it's like, oh my god, what have they done? This is incredible, right? Number 5 for me is The Flash. Yes, knew that I would love this movie. I didn't know I would expect to love it this much. I love the story of getting Barry Allen going back in time trying to save his mum, but instead the universe that he's in, we get Michael Keaton's Batman back, we get Sasha Calle's Supergirl introduced, right? So there's so much stuff in The Flash that is just like one of the best DC movies. People kind of look at the CGI aspect or the disrespectful stuff like the Christopher Reeve, Helen Slater, and George Reeve cameos. But it's like, it's a celebration of DC. Bloody get over yourself. It's what it's meant to be. But also, when you do the whole obscure thing, that's where you might lose the audience. Like for me, I love it because I'm into this type of stuff. It's like, you see Nick Cage's Superman, right? And it's like, you're like, but the average viewer goes like, wait, what Superman is this? And you turn around and you see Nick Cage and you're like, when did Cage play Superman? But for all of us that read about the death of Superman Lives, we know exactly what it's from. And I love how Nick Cage got to show his Superman on screen. And I love how a lot of those things in that movie got to fruition, and how the action scenes are incredible, and how we have some of the best Batman action in both Michael Keaton's Batman and Affleck's Batman. But all these DCEU movies have great Batman action, so I am not going to complain about that at all. Now, my top 4 movies for DC movies, right? So number 4 for me is Superman 2. Yes, I did not expect one of the Christopher Reeve movies to be up this high, but it is that good. I didn't expect to be entertained, but like, it's one of those weird things because it's like, I think it's the longest out of the 2 cuts, out of the Dawn cut and the theatrical cut, but felt the shortest. I think that's one of the reasons why it's up there, because one, it feels short, and I love the story of this one. Doing the whole Spider-Man 2 thing of lose your powers, but it's made because of him trying to get rid of Zod, Elsa, and Nan, is incredible. And I love the way that he does it, even though that there's some things that you're kind of like, why is this turning into a comic now where the first movie they set up his powers and what his powers are, and then in this one at the end, he literally rips off his chest. It's like, it's not a sign that you can rip off, but he rips the S off his chest and throws it to Nan or one of the bad guys and wraps him up in cellophane. You're just like, okay, what the hell? That's the only thing that I can really go like, that's weird. But I think that overall, even though that you can easily tell because of the time, it's very much that Adam West style fighting, and they're like, oh, let's punch Superman into a Coca-Cola sign, and let's have Superman rescuing all these people, and it's like, he actually cares for these pests. Like pets. like there's such cringy lines and stuff, but you can't get over it because it's part of the time, and it's also the charm of those movies. So you just need to kind of go like, yeah, I'm in, sure. And Margot Kidder does again a fantastic performance as Lewis. I love Christopher Reeve as Superman. He is an iconic Superman. I love how he did it. And I love that. Number 3 for me is Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I really like this movie. I think it's such an underrated movie. I think that I love all of the interactions between all the girls. I love the action in this movie and how it's actual stunt choreography stuff and how they actually do the fight scenes and stuff is actually very, very well done, especially for practical effects. And I think one of the other things too, because I have a poster in my room for this movie, right? And I think that it's mainly that I just love Margot Robbie as Harley. And I don't think that anyone could ever top her. Because it's like, even though that I think that Lady Gaga's going to do a great job as Harley in the new Joker movie, I don't think that you could get that much of a flamboyant, cartoony, also realistic version of Harley with then what Margot Robbie did with that character. So I am so happy that we might be still having her in the DCEU, depending on how it all goes with James Gunn. Number 2 for me is Batman Returns. Yes, I love Batman Returns. It is my favourite Batman movie, and to me the best Batman movie. Are they great like Batman movies? No, because we mainly spend more time, like even in 89, we spend more time with Joker in 89, but we spend time here with Catwoman and Penguin. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like they're not great Batman movies, but they're great movies, and that's what I love about them. They're great movies in general, and I really love how Michelle Pfeiffer really got to shine as Catwoman, and in my opinion, the best Catwoman we got to date. Like Halle Berry and Anne Hathaway can eat crap, because no one is going to deny and go like Catwoman is the best in Batman Returns, because Michelle Pfeiffer just did a fantastic job at playing her, and no one ever is going to say, no, I didn't like Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. Which some people might say that they don't like Penguin, but I do like Penguin. I think that it kind of makes sense that he's a 40-year-old virgin living in a sewer and is a penguin man. I think that Michael Keaton is the best in this. And I think that a lot of the Batman action, even though that is a little silly when he has to tilt his head and stuff to duck, but I think that the action overall is very, very good, and the action with the Batmobile is very good. The whole scene where Batman looks at the crook of the Red Triangle gang and shoves a bit of dynamite in his pants, and then the dude looks around and goes like, huh? And then Michael Keaton gets that smile, and then throws him down a manhole, and then he blows up behind Batman. Such a cool scene. But I love Batman Returns. I think it's one of the best Batman movie that we've gotten, right behind things like, in front of things like Batman vs. Turtles and Batman 89, stuff like that, right? So I bloody love Batman Returns. I think it's incredible. And number 1 for me, of course, is Shazam. I think that the reason why this one keeps being my number 1 is because that I walked into that theater going like, I'm not going to like this movie. Because now this is where other people can kind of get mad, going like, oh, Marvel shill. I was kind of that back then, because I only saw Suicide Squad, and I was one of the defenders of that. I'm like, if I walk into this movie and I like it, then I won't be standing up for Suicide Squad. I still do stand up for Suicide Squad, but I didn't realize I would love it as much as I have. And honestly, I don't think this movie did a huge accomplishment for me. Not only did it get me to love DC and this character, it also got me to have goosebumps on me, and also my excitement level through the roof for a Superman cameo. This is coming from a guy that, I want to say, after and before this movie, was not a Superman fan. I did not like him. But when you had but I recognized the theme because I think the theme is amazing. So, even though that wasn't fine behind the scenes stuff back then, but you saw, like, head off Cavill walking with the Pyter, and you hear the and I was like, oh my god, Superman! And it gave me one of the most funniest moments in the movie theater, where the credits would roll and then and I would go like, and my friend's brother would turn to me and go like, Jack, don't say it, and I would go like, 1, 2, 3, and then these girls far up in the movie theater would yell, Shazam! And we just kind of like, you ruined it. So that was kind of funny to me to see. So, yeah, I love Shazam. I think it's the best DC movie overall. So, guys, please hit the like button down below if you haven't already. Hit subscribe also to the little bell icon to get notified for future videos I make. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.